There are two things that I really love. One of them is absolutely being in the sun, even though it's really making me shiny right now. And two is reading books, and I'm going to be sharing with you three books that I've read in the past few days that have really encouraged me to embrace myself, to love myself, to just go for it, to trust myself. I mean, isn't it exciting to just read a book and just be like, I get it. I get it. This is amazing. So the one that I'm going to start with that I absolutely love is With a Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. I really love this book, not just because of the beautiful storyline, but because of the cover. I mean, just look at this amazing cover. It's just amazing. I think this was the first time that I saw a black girl on a cover when I actually bought this. Was it in 2020? I'd never really come across books with dark-skinned people on the covers, and I think that is something that has really changed, and it's really good to kind of see more and more of that. This is a story of a girl called Imani, and she is a teenage mom, and she loves cooking, and she wants to be a chef, but she's the kind of person that really doesn't like following the rules in the kitchen, but her food is magic. Her hands create magic. What really draws me to this story, apart from the fact that she's called Imani, and my English name Faith in Swahili is also Imani, the fact that she is not afraid of actually saying that she doesn't know what she wants to do, because everyone is asking her, what are you going to do after high school? Which college are you going to go to? And in her head, she's like, I don't want to go to college because I know that I want to be in the kitchen cooking, because she wants to be doing something. And she's not afraid of voicing that out. And I think that it's really important for us to always acknowledge those feelings. At times in the society, we are always just being forced or pushed to know what we want with life, especially when you're 18, when you're 19, when you're 17. It's too early. You don't always have to know what you want to do. You don't always have to have it all figured out. And I think that is something that we need to get comfortable with. I think a lot of times we put a lot of pressures on ourselves, but it's fine to not know. It's not going to be the end of the world. And I think that is something that I'm actually trying to learn now, because life is always uncertain. Life is not always going to go according to your plan. Even if you really know exactly what you want to do with life, you might get somewhere, maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, and you're like, I don't want to be doing this anymore, and I don't even know what I want to do with life. It's really good to appreciate those feelings and to sit in those feelings and really validate them so that you can be able to move on. And don't feel like you're a failure. You're not a failure. You're just someone who is going through life. I am really sweating because I decided to wear a coat for this. The other book that I absolutely love is The Returnees, and I also reread this one because I just moved back to Kenya from France a few weeks ago, and just reading this has been really amazing because it's also about immigrants who are moving back to Nigeria, who are living in London, back to Nigeria, and how they're just navigating life and the reverse culture shock that they get to have. Seeing the stories of two characters here in this book, Osayuki and Cynthia, really inspired me, because Osayuki is someone who lived in Nigeria until she was about 11 years old, and just seeing how she's embracing Nigeria is really inspiring, because most of the times, you know, when you've lived abroad and then you come back to your home country, it's really easy to be like, my God, the things are not the same. Oh my God, why are people not like this? Oh my God, why? It's just good to just remember that this was once your country, and as much as you can't change people, you can really revel in the beauty, in the good things, and you can appreciate where you are at that moment. At the end of the day, life is all about being grateful for where you are, for what you have, because it is in having gratitude that you actually create space for yourself to have more, for more abundance. It's also the story of Cynthia, who has never been to Nigeria, but her family is Nigerian, and she was actually brought back to Nigeria because she is not behaving well according to her father. Then she goes into the youth service in Nigeria. At first, she actually doesn't like the experience, but the experience really forces her to get to know herself, to become self-aware, and at the end of her journey, or maybe it is the start, she actually has a clear idea of what she wants to do, and it's really inspiring, you know. These stories really remind me that there is never really any wasted experience. That is something that I read somewhere, and it really has always pushed me and really inspired me through life to always just be open in whatever situation that I'm in, and just take in whatever it is that I can, instead of just sitting down and be like, I don't want to be here. But if you even don't want to be there, you're there. So what are you going to do? You can either be negative Nancy, or you can decide to just be positive, be be grateful as well, and just learn from the experience, and maybe it may actually transform you into something that you never thought you would be. The last book that I've absolutely been loving is The River and the Source, and I actually have waited over 10 years to read this. I think this is a book that my father and my mother read while they were in school, so it's quite an old one, but it's just amazing. This follows the story of 3 generations of African women, and it focuses really on the women who are really strong, the women who stand up for themselves, the women who decide that they are going to go after the kind of lives that they want to. It really is showing African women who have always been pioneers. If you've read Homegoing by Yagyasi, you would absolutely love this one, except for this one is about the happy stories. Homegoing is really heavy because it mostly focuses on the story of slavery, and it's heart-wrenching, but this one was really amazing to just read and to just know, you know what, African women have always been strong, and they've always known what they want to do. No matter, in today's patriarchal age, we're always being told that, you know, it's the men that know best. No, women have always been the ones that even create beautiful households, create wealth for their families. Most profound thing that I've really taken from this book is saying how these women really stood in who they are. They did not decide to change who they were so they could find a man or anything. The men who were in their lives supported them. Even in the pre-colonial Kenya, where it was an expectation for each and every man to actually marry multiple wives, there is a man who loved his wife so much that he did not marry another woman, and people would actually see this as, oh, it's the wife who has conducted witchcraft on him and all that. But no, it was just because the man really loved his wife. And this just goes to show, especially in today's climate where as women you're being told your standards are too high, you should lower them. This is a lesson that just be who you are, and the people who are really meant to be in your life are just going to find you. You don't have to change yourself for anyone. Santa baby. Reading these stories have been an absolute pleasure, and not just because they are inspiring stories, but because all these books were written by women or have been written by women, and I just love reading anything that has been written by a woman. It's just amazing. Creating a world that has been created by women is one of my greatest goals and one of my greatest philosophies, and it's just great when we just see our own stories being told by us. That is something that I absolutely want to contribute to, because we need to tell our own stories so that men can stop lying to us and telling us that, yeah, you are nothing without a man. You're absolutely everything without a man. You don't need a man. You can do so many things because you have everything in you to be whatever it is that you want to be. So read these inspiring stories if you want some motivation, some inspiration, and embrace who you are, because you are everything that you believe to be and that you're meant to be. What if it didn't film? It filmed everything.